Hey, good evening, everyone. So, most of you already know, right? There are a lot of massive layoffs going on with many companies, many big companies, not even big companies, even mid-sized companies like it can be Microsoft, TCS, Infosys, Wipro, or even Chevron. Again, due to multiple reasons. One is mainly because of the AI, impact of AI. The second reason is because of some policies. They want to outsource most of the projects to India or other countries because getting visas is getting more and more difficult for H1Bs. So because of those reasons, we see a lot of our members on visas losing their jobs, and some of them approached me asking like, what are the different options? I thought Huma Mantradigar is the best one. She is the SME. She got over 35 plus years of experience in immigration area. She's based out of Houston. She's the CEO for Mantra Law Firm. So we'll be doing these sessions every 2 weeks once, every second Thursday and last Thursday of the month, so that if you have any questions related to immigration or whatever are the current topics or hot topics going on in the immigration domain, we can get clarified from our subject matter expert Umagaru. So yeah, thanks Umagaru for taking time and
My
yeah,
pleasure, Andy.
yeah,
Thank you for doing this for the community. I know a lot of people who are very, very frustrated with the changes that are happening and feeling helpless as to what they can do with their situations. So I think you're coming in and scheduling these webinars is appropriate for the community. Thank you so much, Kishore Garu, for doing this. I really mean that.
yeah. Thank you, Umagaru. So Umagaru, what are the options? So generally, if someone loses a job, if they are working for a full time, what are the options? Or if they are in a consulting role or a contractor for a Indian consulting company or anything like that, what are the options? So what are the best things? So should they immediately leave, or what are the different options available to them?
Sure. Whether they are working for an end client or they're working for a consulting company for an end client or they're working for the employer directly, it doesn't matter if they get laid off or they're fired from a job, they have 60 days grace period. During the 60 days, they can either find another H1B employer to move their H1 to that employer, provided they find the employer who's willing to sponsor them. These days, with all the job layoffs, with all the projects being cut off, for a lot of employers, that may be a difficult situation to do it within 60 days. So we've been doing this for a number of years, Kishore Karu, not now, not just under this administration, many, many, many years. Every time, the economy goes down, the projects go down, there are multiple layoffs in the IT industry, particularly. There's also a lot of layoffs in the engineering field, medical field. We are not just seeing one, but across the board. And so we recommend if people don't want to go back, particularly if they have young children who are already registered in schools, who do not want to go back right away. One option is to go to a B2 visa. And the other option is if they want to go back to school, if they were a student before, came on a student visa, got their H1, and they know how the school system works. So if they wish to go back to school to do a master's or second master's or a PhD and get into the B1 category even for their green cards, that is something we are seeing a lot of people opting for that rather than, just doing a B2 visa. But a lot of people cannot afford even to go to school. And if they cannot, then the immediate option is to jump into a B2 status so that they don't go out of status. And in the meantime, if they do find an employer, they can always change their status from a B2 to an H1 because they're not subject anymore to the cap requirements.
So we are also seeing news that even though they are in the 60-day grace period, they are receiving notices to appear in the court and for deportation. Is that true, Magaru, or is that a
Yes, yes, it is true, but not particularly H1s. I have received at least 6 to 8 ladies who got a notice to appear. Most of these were on H1s and they were transitioning into an H4 because they were married to an H1 holder. And they thought, best thing is to go to an H4 and then get an H4 EAD. So they did transition, file their application all in a timely manner, but they did receive notices to appear in court, and we were pretty surprised to see that because in all these years of my practice, I've never seen that happen. And we think the only reason that people are being targeted is because ICE has a quota. They've been given a quota of the rounding up and giving notices to at least 3,000 people a day, and maybe they are not doing their homework to find out that the H1 has now gone from an H1 to an H4 or a B2 or an F1. And or even if they did notice, they're ignoring it and still going ahead and issuing an NTA solely to comply with their quota requirements. This is what we have. I am representing at least 7 to 8 ladies in court right now.
okay. So yeah, again talking about the options. So the first option, what you're suggesting is moving to a tourist visa, B1, B2 visa.
B1, B2, yes. And we've done this for the last 10 to 15 years. This is not something new that we have given options because a lot of people, as I mentioned, if they have little children going to school, they don't want to take them out of school in the middle of the school year to go back to their country because the kids may lose their school years even if they go back. So a lot of people decide, you know what, I don't want to go back right now. I want to sell my car. I want to sell my house. I've got some commitments to complete, so I'm not going to go. So if they cannot get a job within 60 days, then the best option would be to go for a B1, B2. And of course, people may think the B1, B2 is for 6 months. Yes, it is. If they intend to stay longer than 6 months, then we also do another extension of that B2 for another 6 months. So it all depends on each individual, what their reasons are, why they are wanting to stay longer, or if they think that the market will get better in a year and get an H1. So we have to go with each individual's requirements.
If someone moves from H1 to B1, B2, and again after 2 or 3 months, if they get another job or something, so can they easily move to H1B at that point of time, or will there be any issue?
Absolutely, absolutely, because they're not subject to the quota. They don't have to go through the cap. So if they find an employer who's willing to sponsor them for an H1, they can definitely go from the B2. And sometimes the B2 can be just pending, meaning they just got a receipt, they haven't even been approved of the B2 status. They can still use the B2 notice of receipt and file for a change of status to an H1.
Yeah, okay. And you mentioned that after 6 months, if needed, they can file for extension. So will that give another six
Correct.
months of stay for them?
That's correct. It will give them another 6 months. And we have done that even in the last few years during the Biden administration also. When a lot of people were losing jobs during that COVID time or a little after COVID also. So a lot of people had to do that just to, as I said, they don't want to take their kids out of the school, or the spouse is not ready to go back to their home country. They would rather look for a job than go back to their home country.
Right. In Biden's administration, things were a little easy, but now, uh, are you seeing any rejections with these transfers from H1 to B1, B2 or anything? Or
No, absolutely not. In fact, the first few months of this administration itself, when a lot of people lost their jobs or were fired, we did file B2 visas, change of status, and they got approved. We never had an issue.
okay, cool. Mother, what about the second option, right? One more you mentioned is moving to again going back to college.
That is correct. If somebody feels like, you know what, I would rather go get another master's, or I've already got two masters, I would rather do a PhD, and then look into whether I qualify for an EB1. As you know, Kishore Garu, a lot of people from India, particularly, have been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting in the EB2, EB3 lines, and that is not moving forward at all. So a lot of people are opting for the EB1 because they can't afford the EB5, 800,000. That's a lot of money. So since they cannot afford that, this is an option they are looking into. Why not I go into an EB1, A or B, if I qualify for that, if my coursework that I do or a publication that I'm going to make is something very important, which would benefit the United States, then I would rather go into the EB1. And if not, they can also look into the option of going into an O1A if they feel that they are a person of extraordinary abilities where they have contributed to the community. They can even look into getting an O1 and then from an O1A going into an EB1A. So there are a lot of people looking into that option as well, Kishore.
Yeah. And how about so for this B1, B2, they don't need to travel outside the country, right? Just they can stay in the country, they can file for it.
Absolutely. They can do a change of status in the United States. At the moment, I am not going to recommend anybody to travel to their home country, even to get a renewal stamped, whether it's an H1 or an L1 or an F1. I wouldn't recommend because there are a lot of issues. One is the drop box is also going to be eliminated pretty soon, starting September 12th. The drop box is not going to be available for people in many, many, many categories, which includes even H1. So, which means that everybody would have to go for an interview. And we are anticipating, as lawyers, we are going to see a flood of 221Gs. We are expecting that. So based on our, gauging what this administration is looking at, I would not recommend anybody going to their home country to get a stamping. If they can avoid going, I would say please do not go.
So are you already seeing any rejections for the H1 transfers or H1 extensions?
We have not seen rejections, but yes, we've seen a couple of RFEs. But the RFEs were in the cases that we filed where we got the RFEs. I think they were justified in giving the RFEs because the employer did not provide all the documentation that was required. So I don't think the USCIS was wrong in giving an RFE in those cases. So again, it's a case by case. I would look at it. I'm not going to blanketly apply just because one case got an RFE that everybody will get an RFE. When you are filing as an employer or an employee, I would advise to do your due diligence to make sure that you give every single document that is relevant to the H1. If you're working for an end client, make sure if you can get an end client letter or a contract or an MSA or a work order to show that there is an actual job that is required by the end client. So whatever you're going to be filing, I would advise make sure you give all the documents so you can avoid those RFEs. But I would still say if you can respond to the RFE with all the documents, we are still seeing approvals, Kishore. Even very recently, we got a bunch of RFEs and pretty much they got approved.
Right. So even for the CB1A, or there is a lot of scrutiny nowadays. So do you suggest it, or right for the PhDs publications? It seems they are revoking some of those. Any updates
I
on that?
am not revoking is a very strong word. Revoking will come only if they approve it and they would revoke your EB1A. But I've not seen revoking, but yes, we are seeing some RFEs. Again, if we don't have publications, we don't have citations of those publications, or if the person doesn't qualify with the 10 requirements, you've got to meet at least 3 to 4 requirements. And if you don't meet those requirements, then you're bound to get an RFE. So I would look into it very, very carefully before submitting, that you at least meet those requirements. Some people are even taking that chance, Kishore Garvan, saying, you know what, it's okay. I would rather take the chance. I would rather get an RFE. At least I would have tried the EB1 A or B. I don't want to be waiting in the EB2, EB3 line. I want to go ahead. I want to try this. So they are taking that chance whether they do qualify or they don't qualify.
Right. So, Magar, so again, right, even with F1 visas, also there is a lot of rejections, and there are a lot of restrictions nowadays. So,
Correct.
do you suggest that option for members to switch from H1B to US to F1 or something? If
Well,
and
as
can
long
they
as
enroll in community colleges also? Will that count, or they should go to some good universities?
if they already have done a master's or a bachelor's and a master's, whether it's in their home country or in the US, I would not recommend them going to a community college. No. Then, because the question will come up saying that, why would you go back to a community college if you've already got a bachelor's or a master's, whether it's from your home country or, in the US? You're kind of regressing backwards if you're doing that. Unless if you are going to justify by saying, you know what, I did accounting and now I want to go into computer science. So I'm taking it a completely new curriculum. And I think, my accounting is not going to get me a good job, but I think computer science will get me a good job. So I would rather start from scratch and do a computer science course. Then you may be a better justified person to go into a community college and then transfer your credits to a university. Now, as far as problems with the F1, yes, there are problems with the F1 visas, but only to those students who have in the past actively participated in any kind of political rallies or supporting any government other than the US, or any government that is in controversy with the US government. If they see that an individual has participated in something like that, then they would not be able to get a visa, because they are going to vet them strictly to make sure that anywhere, they've not posted on any social media saying that I don't like this country, or I don't like this country, or I'm not in favor of the US policy. I don't like them supporting this country. If they see any of those, there can be issues with that. But generally speaking, in the US, we have not seen where people have gone from an H1 to F1. The rejections or denials have been bare or very minimal. I would say that. We've not seen that.
Okay, so the first option is B1, B2, where initially it is for 6 months and they can extend another 6 months. The
That is
second
correct.
option is converting to F1, where they can stay from 1 year to 2 years or 3 years based on the course they are going to select
Correct.
in the
Correct.
college.
In fact, very recently, on July the 25th or 26th, we filed for a change of status of an H4 to a F1. And we got the approval. Of course, we did premium processing. And yesterday, we got the approval. Less than 4 days, we got the approval from an H4 to an F1.
Okay, cool.
So we
And
didn't have any problems. So in the US, generally speaking, you may see lesser issues as compared to the consulate. It is the consulate where the vetting is much stronger, and their goal is to see that most people do not come into the United States. And as I said, with even the drop box being eliminated from September 12th, As I mentioned just a bit earlier, I am expecting a floodgate of 221Gs.
So, and how about the option of moving from H1 to H4 if spouse is on H1, if one of them lose job? So, what do you suggest about that option, the third
Absolutely. That
option?
is a great option for a person if they are married, if the other spouse is on an H1. Highly recommend going to an H4. That way, if they want to go to school, also they can go to school on an H4. Or if the spouse has an I-140 approved, that individual can also get a work permit to work. So, absolutely, I would highly recommend that. The first two options, I only quoted them for those people who do not have a spouse or do not have a spouse who's on H1, then the option is only a B2 or an F1.
And how about the fourth option, Umagaru, which is compelling EAD? Do you suggest that or?
I don't suggest compelling EAD because once you go to the compelling EAD, which is only issued for 1 year, Kishore Garu, you cannot come back to an H1. That's only for 1 year. So I would suggest if you can avoid that, and rather look into options of getting another H1 within the 60 days or going to a B2 or going to an F1 and then coming to an H1. I would not go with the compelling EAD because as I said, that's only for 1 year and you cannot come back to an H1.
But they cannot do, right? Out of these three options, there is no way they can work, right? B1, B2, or H4 or
That is
F1
correct.
with
F1, they
compelling
can
EAD.
if they have day one CPT. A lot of people do work on the day one CPT. And, not every school offers day one CPT, especially if
Mm,
they're going to a community college. You don't have that option. No.
mm. If they get to this compelling EAD and after 1 year, if they want to again move to H1, they have to again file it again or
They have to go back to their home country and then file it from there. They
okay,
cannot convert because a compelling EAD is not a visa status. It is just allowing that individual to work on an EAD for 1 year.
okay.
That's why they have to go back and then come back on an H1, provided an employer is willing to bring them on an H1. And with all the situation right now, I don't think that would be a great option. But if a person feels like, you know what, I don't care, I just want to work for 1 year and I'll go back, I don't want to even come back after 1 year, then yes, that is an option.
Okay. Um, any other options other than these, right? I know EB5 is also another option if somebody has that investment, if they can afford that 850 to
Correct.
900K. So,
EB5, yes.
nine.
And I have an EB5 company that just, they've been doing EB5 for a long time in Houston, Kishore Garu, and they just started offering something very unique that I don't see many EB5 regional centers offering. That is, they are giving a loan up to 300 or 400,000. Now, if you invest 400,000 or 500,000, you may be able to get a loan from them for the balance of the amount, which is 300,000 or up to 400. I'm not sure between those amounts. So this is something I just found out a day or 2 days ago.
But how much time it will take, Umagaru, if they lose a job, if they have, let us say, 300, 400K in savings? What
Would
is
you
the
repeat?
option?
Would you repeat the question again?
How much time it will take for them to get into a valid status?
Well, if they do a B2, they'll get into a valid status immediately. The
Okay,
day we file it, that is the day the B2 will be granted for them from that day. Let's say if I say I'm going to file for somebody August the 5th, so once I put that in the application and when they get an approval, the valid date will be from August 5th till, 6 months.
and will they give it for 10 years or generally for parents they give B1 B2 for 10 years, but they can stay only for 6 months. In the same way, here also will the members get for 10 years B1, B2 or
The B1, B2, the 10 years that you're talking about is the stamping that is given at the US consulate for
right?
10 years. But
Mm.
here you're not getting a stamping, you're just asking for a change of status from an H1 to a B2. So all you get is an I-94 that is valid for up to 6 months.
Okay, okay, cool.
So it is the I-94 that allows you to stay in the country.
Right.
Even when the parents come, they have a 10-year visa, but the visa is not a guarantee that they'll come into the United States. But once they are allowed, they're admitted, they get 6 months, which is the period of stay, authorized stay in the United States.
Right. So few of the members have few questions, Sumagaru. I'll
Sure,
let them speak. So we'll take few questions. So yeah,
please do.
Santosh, please go ahead, Santosh, with your question.
Hello. Sorry, this is Nikita Santosh's wife, and the question is regarding me. So I'm currently on a medical leave with FMLA, which is still under pending approval. And I am hearing that my team is getting eliminated, so which means my role might get eliminated the moment I go back from my medical leave. Um, uh, so,
What is
uh,
the current status you're on, ma'am? I know you're talking about your medical
so,
leave. What
sorry,
is
I'm
your
on
current
H1B. I
status?
am on
Okay,
H1B visa with I-140
okay.
approved.
Okay,
Uh,
you're on H1B. That's what matters.
yes.
Okay.
So my question is, let's say like I'm going back from my medical leave, and if I get terminated, because I didn't get my payroll for last 30 days, will this be counted as my H1B 60-day period? Asking because
I
recently
wouldn't
I'm
know that until I actually look at your paychecks because we will have to determine your 60 days from the date your pay period covers. Some employers don't even pay for, let's say you're supposed to get paid in July. I've seen a lot of employers who don't pay that till even September. I don't know why they do that, but they don't pay. So that would all determine what is the pay period for. Is it for the
okay,
period of July or is it for the period of August? Because on the check, they're going to put the pay period. So
okay,
whatever is the pay period, let's say if it is going to be July 31st is your last day of the pay period, then your 60 days will start from July 31st. So
okay,
we determine based on that. And
okay,
typically, as far as I know, typically, I'm not sure about all the, labor laws governing, federal leave or leave when you're having a baby. If they can actually lay you off during that period. I've been told they cannot, but I'm not sure about that. So you may want to consult a lawyer that
yeah,
does
that's the case I
on
am
the.
in. Okay,
I wouldn't know
okay.
exactly if they can lay you off or not.
Okay. Uh, just one question. Let's say like I didn't get pay stub for July, and I got terminated. Uh, does that mean it will count? Although I'm terminated on August 1st, will that still be considered as into
It'll,
the
as I said, I wouldn't know the exact dates unless I look at your paycheck, but I
okay,
would look at the pay period to govern the 60 days.
okay, okay. So if I end up in that situation, can I reach
Please
out to
reach
you
out to
for
me. Please do. I
okay,
hope you don't end up in that situation. Hope
okay,
the employer will consider that you're on a leave, and not lay you off. But if you have to, please reach out to me.
okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. I hope and pray it doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Thank
Yes,
you.
absolutely.
Hey, Taral, please go ahead.
Hey, thanks for having this session. So, Uma, I had a question.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm on H1B. My wife is on H1 as well,
Okay.
but she's getting laid off, and so we were planning to go back on H4. Like she can come back, go to on H4. But what
Yes.
if she finds a job? How easy it is, or what's the process to go back to H1? Provided we don't leave the country.
Well, she can definitely go back to H1 anytime because she's not subject to the cap, meaning she doesn't go through the lottery. So if she goes to H4 and let's say 6 months down the line or 8 months down the line, she finds an employer who's willing to sponsor her, bring her back to an H1, she can definitely switch her H4 to an H1 without having to leave the country. That is the rules today, guys. This is
Right.
all the rules today. I
Right.
have no idea if this administration will change those rules in the future.
Like,
I hope and pray they don't. But this is based on today. I would definitely say she should not have a problem.
Right. And how about like today, as of today, the I-94 end date is in February, but on paper, like she has a new I-797, which is approved till 27. So it should still be valid, right? If she goes back to an H1, um, we immediately
What do you
don't.
mean? Still valid till 2020. Her I-94 is one thing, but if she's getting laid off, she's no
Mhm.
longer with that employer. So whether
Got
her I-94 is valid or not doesn't matter because she's not working for that employer. She doesn't get a paycheck from that employer. So her validity of the H1 doesn't keep her in status, as you know that,
got it. Okay.
right?
Okay.
It's got to do with till what day she's getting her paycheck.
Oh, okay. So the approved I-797 is not valid anymore.
If she's getting laid off, let's say it's valid for another 3 years also.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. Let's say they just
Got it.
extended it in June of 2025 for another 3 years.
Makes
But
sense.
she's getting laid off in August of 2025. So it doesn't matter that it's valid for 3 years.
Thanks. Thanks for clarifying that.
Okay.
That
Yeah, a lot
really
of people
helps.
get confused with that.
Yeah, it does. It is confusing.
I
And
mean, I wish the government would allow us to say, okay, please work with another employer. You have a validity of H1 for 3 years, but then H1 is employer specific, right?
mm-hmm, got
So
it.
you can only work for that employer if you're still employed with that employer.
Got it. Got it.
And if you
And
are not, the validity doesn't matter. Validity can be for another 3 years, but you have to find another employer within that 60 days to port your employment to the new employer.
got it. Got it. And the last question I had was, so my extension is due next year Jan, right? And I think
Okay.
the employer has already started doing that.
Okay.
Is I heard there was a rule, but I don't know exactly what it is. So if I get uh, I mean the extension is approved, do I immediately need to travel to get the stamping, or I can stay
No,
here?
you can stay here. You can continue to be employed. And I've also been noticing a lot of employers doing consular processing. I have
Mm-hmm.
no idea why. You don't
Yeah.
have to do consular processing, especially with the new rules coming up without Dropbox,
Mm-hmm.
with the possibilities of getting 221Gs. I would not opt for consular processing. I would rather just do an extension here. You only need to go out only if you're traveling, if you have a need to travel.
Got it.
If you don't need to travel, your I-94 is good. With that I-94, you get your driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
You continue to be employed legally.
Got it. Got it. No, this all makes sense. Thank you so much for clarifying.
You're most
There was a lot
welcome.
of confusion, and yeah, really appreciate. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Please keep listening to us. Every 2 weeks, we're going to be back on a Thursday. But please thank Kishore Garu for doing this. He's taking the
Abs-
time out to do this.
Absolutely. Yeah, really appreciate Kishore.
My job is to only talk. His job is to organize.
Yeah,
Thanks. Thanks,
yeah,
guys. Good evening.
sure, no problem. Yeah.
Welcome.
Brajesh, do you have any questions?
Yeah, actually, I have two questions. The another
Go
one is
ahead.
like, yeah, another is related to first question. So, question is like for the EB5, what could be the valid source of income? It can be any income we earn here during our stay from H1, or any money we got from parents as a gift, or it have to have go come through home country like India?
No, sir, it doesn't have to come from your home country. If you've been living here, let's say for the last 10, 15 years, you're working on H1, you saved up money, you've got that money, you've got money in your 401ks, or you've invested in stocks and bonds, which you can liquidate, and your parents are giving you a gift from India or anywhere else, you can combine that as well. So anything that is legally you're entitled to,
Yeah. Second
as
question.
long as long as it is not a drug money or by selling any kind of weapons.
Got it. Got it. Second question. So actually, one of my pretty close friend, he's starting a new business, and he
Mhm.
was telling me that what if I can help you? I mean, I start a business on your name. You can put some money, and I will put some money on behalf of you, telling this as a gift or maybe the loan. Ultimately, like, he just want me to ready to help me. He will invest the money, business will run for couple of years. Once I get the EB5, I will drop my partnership. Ultimately, he don't want to call
You
us the
cannot get
partner.
an EB5 through that kind of business, sir. The EB5 regional centers have to be approved by the USCIS.
Any like
Anybody cannot just start a business and say this is an EB5. No.
okay.
If you're going to do a direct investment in an EB5, where you, for example, you're going to buy a Hilton resort, okay, that
Mhm.
is a 1,050,000 investment.
What about like a Domino's franchisee, like any pizza franchisee or ice cream franchisee?
No, sir, those don't qualify for EB5s. There
Got it.
are specified pre-approved regional centers that has gone through a scrutiny with the USCIS. They look at all the blueprints. What have they invested? What are they going to build? Why do they need your money to, build whatever they're building? When will this project be ready? So they're going to go through all of that before they can even rubber stamp that this is an EB5 project.
Got
It
it.
has
I
to
heard
be.
there are two type of CB5, one's through regional center and another through your own
There is
direct
the direct,
investment.
yeah, which I just said. You invest 1,050,000 and you have to show that you've created jobs for 10 workers,
Got it. Got it.
which is much more difficult than doing it with a regional center.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
But your friend, if he wants to help you, can give you a loan, can give you a gift. Once you get your green card, you can always return that money back to him.
Yeah,
And
but
as I
another
was
problem.
telling, Kishore Garu, there is a company in Houston that I'm working with, and they have just announced that they are willing to give up to 300 or 400,000 loan.
Awesome. I will reach out to Kishore for more details.
Please
Yeah,
do.
you can
Or
reach to
Kishore
Mother.
can give
Yeah.
my number in the team here, and you're more than welcome to reach out to him or to me.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Yeah. Rajshekhar, do you have any question?
Yeah. Thank you, Kishore, for organizing this. Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
So this one is regarding not H1 layoffs. Can I ask?
Anything. You can ask anything.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Actually, my son, he crossed 18 years recently, and he missed the biometric appointment. Actually, we waited for the
What do you
physical.
mean miss the biometric appointment for what? What did you find?
No, once the child reaches 14 years, so in April, they what a rule like we need to give the biometrics with the USCIS, right?
Right. But
Yeah,
what status is your son
he
in?
is on H4.
Okay. So have you filed for his H4 extension anytime recently?
Yes.
And have they called him for the biometrics then?
No, actually, we voluntarily approached him and we took the appointment. So after appointment, we waited for the physical letter, but we didn't get any physical mail.
Uh-huh.
So today, when I checked it today, they scheduled the appointment on June 23rd. We missed that.
Was this all done online and you failed to check the online account?
In USCS account, yeah, we checked.
Yes, the online account. Okay.
Online
A
account.
lot of people do this. They miss out because it's online. You don't get physical notices and you miss out on that.
Yes. Is there any issue when we try to reschedule the appointment?
You can try to reschedule depending on the USCIS, the application center. You'll have to either call them or send them a letter that you missed the date, and if they can reschedule for your son. And
Yeah.
let's see what
We
happens.
called them today, and they told that okay, within a month we will get back you like
Okay,
that.
then nothing to worry.
Nothing to worry, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the
You're welcome.
clarification.
You're welcome.
Mr. Raj, do you have any questions? Yeah, Raj, are you there? Yeah, Abhi, do you have any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So my situation is I am currently in the notice of separation period, and I am on my H1B, and my wife is also working on her H4 EAD. So what is the best thing to do in my situation that doesn't impact my wife's work?
Unfortunately, it will at some point in time because, you will get 60 days and she gets 60 days. After 60 days, she cannot continue to work unless you get an H1B transferred to a new employer. Now, if you change your status to a B2 or an F1, she obviously will lose the H4E. Both of you get only 60 days grace period
Got it.
from the date of your last paycheck. And do not count the severance pay. It is not a pay period. The period is only your pay period, not the severance.
Got it. Okay. So the other thing is, at this point, is it advisable to move to a consulting role? Right now, I'm on my, I was working full time, but previously I have consulting experience. So is it advisable to move to a consulting role versus trying for a full time?
I mean, you can do any job as long as you can get a job that is going to sponsor you for an H1 and you are in compliance with all the H1 requirements, meaning you meet the job requirement. For example, if you're working as a software engineer and suddenly now you're working as a pharmacist, that's not going to work, right? So as long as you comply with what your background is, your education, your experience, and you comply with it, you should be fine. Doesn't matter if you're being going through a consulting company or you're directly working for your end client.
Okay. And another question what I have is, so I reached out to my employer to like provide
Somebody is
me.
talking in the background. Can you all mute, please? Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So I asked my employer if they can put me on a leave and then afterwards terminate my employment. I still need to hear back from them. So in that situation, what do you suggest? Like, should it be like a medical leave?
I wouldn't know that because again, it all depends on your paycheck. Everything goes by your paycheck. Let's say they're giving you 1 month of leave and for a month of August, and then they're going to pay you for September. They didn't pay you for August, but they paid you for September. September being your last paycheck and pay period. Then your 60 days will count from that.
Got it.
You cannot have an indefinite, medical leave or any leave of absence. That's not going to work.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, because it has to be reasonable. Let's say you have 6 weeks of leave, you've accumulated, and you haven't taken that, and you're allowed to take that leave. And sometimes you even get paid during that leave period. Then you're fine. You're taking your PTO And then next, whatever is your last pay period, be it August, be it September, be it October.
Got it.
Does that clarify?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? Yeah, Ramesh, any questions?
Yeah. Hi, Uma, ma'am.
Hi.
Ramesh. And so I'm currently on L1, and my wife is working on L2 EAD. So
L1A or L1B?
L1B.
Okay.
And this year my H1 got picked in lottery, and it is being processed.
Okay.
So my wife would obviously lose the job, right? Once it is active.
And she will go from an L2 to an H4.
That's right. So
starting October 1st, which is when the H1 start date is, because
Okay.
you got picked in the cap. And so you will not be able to start your H1, and she will not be able to start her H4 until 10/1/2025.
Okay. So my question regarding that is, first thing, so she would have to inform her employer beforehand, right? So
If
that,
that is the requirement, yes.
okay. I mean, so is it illegal to work beyond 10/1?
Yes, it is, because you're no longer on an L1.
Okay. Okay.
So she's no longer an L2. It's automatic.
Okay. Okay. So I missed the first portion of the meeting. So if there is any other way that she can continue working, is there, we can apply for any university and get a day one CPT and do that?
You can try that because it all depends on different universities. Not
Okay.
every university is offering day one CPT. And of course, day one CPT has been questionable in the last so many years,
Okay.
because
Okay.
they feel like, why do you need to do a CPT in the very first semester? But it can be justified if the curriculum requires her to work on a day one CPT. If that curriculum says that, you know what, you cannot actually complete this curriculum unless you do the day one CPT, then it's justified.
Okay. Okay.
Now, is your employer asking for a start date of the H1 starting 10/1, or is it beyond 10/1?
So it's been applied and I've not got any response yet. So when
You'll have to ask them, is the start date 10/1 or beyond 10/1?
okay.
Some
Okay.
employers do it beyond 10/1.
Oh, okay. So I'll check with them then, because
So
I
you'll
have
have to check
L1
that.
till 2027 of April. So and as you were saying earlier, my employer was requesting me to go to consular processing instead of change of status.
I know
And
I wouldn't encourage that, especially now.
right, I was reluctant and I told my employer to go with uh, the change of status itself.
Right.
So I can work around for my wife's employment. I mean,
Yeah,
so that's
if
what
they extend your H1B start date,
uh-huh.
let's say they put it for December or January or whatever they want to put it for, then yeah, she can continue. You will be continuing on L1B and she'll be continuing as an L2.
Okay, okay,
So it all depends what start date they put.
okay, okay, ma'am.
You might have to check that with them.
Yeah,
Okay?
I'll check with my employer. Thank you
All
so
the
much.
best to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
And one last question. So
Sure.
I have completed my L1 tenure of 3 years now.
Mhm.
Back in April, I got my extension, and it is for another 2 years.
Correct.
So my H1 tenure will be for the total of 3 years, right?
Correct.
Not beyond that.
Correct.
So that completes 6 years, which is a max out, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Pranay, do you have any questions?
Yeah, hi Kishore. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Kishore, for setting up this call. Hello, Magaru. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. Would it be okay if I ask you a quick question on tax returns?
I am not an expert on taxes, but what little I know, I can tell you. But I would highly recommend speaking to a CPA who can give you better information about taxes.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I heard that I would receive a 1099 NEC from the company that I'm trading. So that's a non-employee compensation, right? And I have a full-time
I
job.
don't know what you're talking
Oh,
about, 1099 NEC, and from whom are you getting this, and why are you getting this?
so this is through some trading that I do in my evening
So
time.
you buy stocks? Is that what you do? You buy
Yeah,
stocks?
I trade futures. So I just had a
Okay.
question about this. So
Okay.
I
So
heard that there would be some issues if you receive a 1099 NEC. So I thought,
not that I know, if you're doing stocks, you won't, but if you're employed and getting any money as a 1099, you would.
okay,
Because it all depends. I mean, if it's like Microsoft stocks, if you bought it and then you got a profit out of that, you sell the Microsoft stocks and you get some money, and they might give you a 1099, I'm not sure. But that would only be that you got money out of, trading.
right.
It's not anything to do with employment.
Okay. Thank you.
But I would still talk to a CPA about that.
Yes, yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There are a few questions in the chat, Omagara. What would be
Sure.
the average timeline for H4EAD approval while migrating from H1 to H4EAD?
Good question. I wish I could give an answer on that. There have been times that are 8 months, 12 months, 16 months. We've been seeing different timings, Kishore Garu. It's not one particular timing that we are seeing, but we have also been successful sometimes by asking them to expedite it if we feel that an prospective employee is going to lose his or her job, if they don't get the H4EAD. We get a letter from the prospective employer and try to submit that to the USCIS. And not all cases, but some cases we've been successful on that. So it all again depends on each individual adjudicator, the USCIS officer.
If a H1B person applies to B1, B2, can they switch back to H1 after 6 months?
Yes, absolutely. Recently, I had a guy who was working for a big company and then he got laid off. This was in, I would say, a little around end of Jan or first week of February. Okay. And we filed for a B2 for him for a change of status. And luckily, he got a job offer from Walmart. And Walmart attorney reached out to me saying, can you please give me the B2 receipt so we can file for his H1? And they did file. And they did premium and he got approved.
Cool. If husband is on H1 and wife is H4, if H4 files for fourth option, which is compelling EAD, and H1 will get dependent status and can move to H1 after 1 year.
What dependent status are they talking? Compelling EAD is not a visa status.
Right, but if wife applies for compelling EAD and husband is on H1,
she will not get the compelling EAD because they'll say the husband is working on an H1. Why does she need a compelling EAD?
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Right.
They will deny that because she has a spouse who's earning. The compelling EAD is typically in situations where the H1 has lost his job, H4 EAD is gone, and you don't have any means of, getting money, and you have kids who are going to school or maybe even going to university, and you'll have to pay their school fees. So that's when the compelling EAD comes. But once you go into the compelling EAD, then you cannot go back to H1. You'll have to leave the country because a compelling EAD is not a visa status. The only time we have done compelling EADs, Kishore Garu, is particularly when we've had an H1 spouse who died, and the H4 spouse cannot have an H4 anymore after 60 days. and there's no EAD for that spouse, and the husband dies quickly, and there is no other option, then we've told the H4 spouse to go on a compelling EAD for 1 year so that he or she can make money before deciding to go back to their home country or, whatever they want to do. I would do that only in such an extreme condition.
Is there a premium processing for B1, B2?
No, there isn't. But you don't need it. You'll get a receipt within about 2 weeks. And if you're doing online, you get it the same day.
Right. Any issues with the remote H1s? I heard they must convert to regular H1 visa to avoid issues.
When you say remote, are you saying that the person is working remotely, but he has a project with the end client? Is that how you're referring to that remote?
I don't think that member is on the call, but yeah, they just added a message saying any issues with remote H1s.
Yeah, if the person is working remotely for an end client, but if, for example, if the end client now is saying, I need you to come and work in person, then there is an issue. But if the end client is saying, I don't need you to come and work in person, you can still continue to be remote. But having said that, Kishore Garu, of late, we are seeing a lot of FDNS site visits. For example, if you give an end client and then the person is still working remotely, they go and talk to the end client. Hey, did you actually want this guy to work remotely or you want them in person? And for example, if the end client says, you know what, we wanted them to come in person, but they were reluctant, they didn't want to, so we let them work, remotely. So then there can be issues. But other than that, we have not particularly seen any issues if the end client has no problem with it.
So one of the members is staying on H1B since 15 years, and PD is Feb 2015 EB2. Is there any chance for him to convert to EB1?
I wouldn't know unless I talk to them, and if they qualify for the EB1, whether they have any patents, publications, citations. There are many requirements that they have to meet, and I don't know if they meet or they don't. If they don't, I wouldn't file it. But like I said, a lot of people are desperately trying to move to the EB1 because they don't want to wait in this line of EB2 and EB3, which is moving at a very snail pace for India.
Is there any specific rule to stay X miles from the office if they are working from home all the time?
Repeat the question one more time. Sorry.
Is there any specific rule to stay some X miles from the office if they are working from home? I don't think there is anything else.
No, there is no such requirement. Let's say he's only 1 mile away from the office too. But then the employer says, I don't need you to work from here. You can work remotely. They can do that.
And
as long as the remote location is put in the LCA.
Yeah.
If the remote location is not put in the LCA and the office location is put or the end client location is put, and if there is a site visit, then they're going to have a problem.
Okay. Yeah, a few members are asking if they can set up appointment with you.
Absolutely, you can. We do Zoom calls, we do in person, whatever you like. I mean, Kishore Garu, you can share my information in the chat if anybody wants to reach out to me, please.
Yeah, I'm posting it here. Do we need to file amendment if we take salary cut to save the job? What are the chances of getting approval?
Well, the question comes, why are you going for a salary cut? Is the job requirement coming down in the sense, let's say you were doing a job where you could make independent decisions. And that's what your employer wanted you to make independent decisions. So you were on a level 2 or a level 3. But now the employer feels like, the scope of the job is reduced. And because of that, your salary is going to come down too. And if the scope of the job justifies that, yes, you can file an amendment. We've done that for a few people recently, where the employer was keeping them on a level 3 and then brought them down to a level 1. So we did file an amendment. But we had to justify why we were going down as opposed to going up.
Right. So we'll have one last question from Mohammed. What is the eligibility process and risks involved in job change with EB1C category? My current status is approved I-140, green card EAD, and I-130. My I-485 is pending status due to unavailability of uh,
So he's an EB1C, so he must be an L1A and filed for EB1C with the employer, filing an I-140. And if he's filed a 485 and got a work permit, then I'm confused as to why his visa category is not available unless there was a retrogression and his priority dates, all that was, pulled back. So I'm a little confused. There cannot be an I-130 and an I-140. With an EB1C, it's only an I-140. So whoever this is, if you don't mind reaching out to me individually, sending me an email with a little more details, I'll be glad to talk to
you. Yeah. Thanks, Umangara. Yeah, thanks
My
again. And we'll
pleasure.
be having these webinars every 2 weeks. So, yeah, in case if anyone not able to ask their questions, you can use the next bi-weekly session. So, thanks again, Umangara, and have a great rest of
Thank
the
you
day.
to you, Kishore Garu. You're taking your time out. I know you're very busy, but in spite of that, you've taken time out. Not just now, you've always done this for the community. So truly, truly appreciate it. And I think this is a time when our community really needs this support because we are going through a very, very tough time. Whether somebody's on an H1, H4, L1, L2, students, and there is changes every single day with the current administration. So, I would definitely be attending these webinars so that you can at least be educated as to what is going on, what you need to do, what you don't need to do. One of the biggest things that I would tell people if you're traveling, please don't carry a regular phone, carry a burner phone. And I'm not saying you have skeletons in your phone that would alarm at the when you come in with the CBP, but it's just to avoid any kind of confrontations, questions. I'm advising people to do that if you can. If you feel like, hey, I don't have anything to worry, I want to carry my phone because I need it for my work, then go ahead. But if you can avoid it, please do that because we're seeing every single day we are seeing people in the secondary inspection. A lot of people are being pulled over into secondary. Sometimes they're even let go after an hour. They don't even question them. But I think they're just doing this just to show numbers, how many people are being pulled over into secondary inspection. So I would just be very, very, very careful with what you do. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate. Reach out to me, reach out to Kishore Garu. Whatever your issues are, please do reach out.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Magara. Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you and wishing everybody a very good night.